Alright, let's see if Halo fans are less toxic than God of War fans. Yesterday, we got our first look at the Halo Infinite campaign. There has been a lot of hype surrounding this game as of late. I mean, it's been 6 years since the release of Halo 5, which was arguably a stinker of a game, and people have been hungry for a return to form for Halo. Even I have fallen into the hype train a bit as I have been playing through the Master Chief Collection heavily the last few months, replaying all of the games in anticipation for Infinite. I have been skeptically optimistic about Infinite since its announcement, and I still am. I did not really like Halo 4 or 5 very much, so Infinite is kind of 343's third chance for me. Still, with 343 returning to the classic Halo art direction, I am more optimistic for the game than I was with Halo 5. And many Halo vets, like the Actman and Chris Raygun, seem to be enjoying the multiplayer flights, which is a good thing, a very good thing. But I've also seen some other videos, such as ShreddedNerd's look at the game, where he was a little more critical. I highly recommend watching his video, by the way. He looks at the flight in a way that I haven't seen other Halo fans really look at it, really digging into it mechanically and giving it some tough love. I am learning from my blasphemy committed from my God of War Ragnarok reaction video, and I am not saying I'm disappointed. Instead, I'm saying I have some concerns, both about the multiplayer and the single player. Before I start, I just want to preemptively address some of the comments I will undoubtedly get. First, these are my opinions based on what we have seen shown to us of Halo Infinite. No, I have not played the game yet. I haven't even had a chance to play the flight betas. I will be playing the game at launch and giving it a fair review once it comes out. 2 reviews, in fact, as I will be breaking one up for single player and one up for multiplayer, because I really feel like those are 2 different experiences when it comes to Halo. Additionally, I am not saying Halo Infinite is going to be bad. I am, however, saying that there are things shown that worry me. I don't think there's anything wrong with me addressing them. Concerns are just as valid as hype. Again, concerns are just as valid as hype. Halo Infinite could turn out to be the very best Halo game of all time, putting all my concerns and criticisms to rest. But as of right now, with what I have seen and heard, there are some things about Halo Infinite that I am worried about. We cool? Again, I haven't had a chance to play the flights for myself yet, but from what I've seen and heard, Halo Infinite is looking more like Halo 5 improved, not a return to Halo 3. That's the vibe I get from watching the footage. That's how ShreddedNerd described it. I won't be able to comment deeper on that until I have a chance to play it for myself, but that is how I feel after having seen videos covering the flight. There are some things I'm concerned about with the multiplayer from what I have seen. For example, I am mixed about the color outline thing instead of just doing red versus blue. I get that people want to show off their personalized colors, but with Infinite not even really giving you that option, as all skins come with a pre-selected color, I think it's less important than in past Halo games. I think the time to kill looks a little too fast. Without actually having played the flight for myself, I can't be 100% certain. I like Halo being separate from games like Call of Duty though. They should feel different. Halo has always had a longer time to kill than COD, so I hope that is still true here. Little hard to tell from the footage, but something I'm concerned about. I don't think that they solved the problem of sprint and enhanced mobility. I get that sprint has been toned down immensely, but it doesn't necessarily fix the issue completely. I don't like that the gravity hammer doesn't have any physics surrounding it. I don't like that they took out friendly fire and team collision. The weapon respawn system seems unbalanced to me, as one team can very easily hog the power weapons and just steamroll an opponent. The skin system seems very indicative of an incoming microtransaction system. I also personally don't like the new gun sounds, though I didn't like them in Halo 4 or 5 either. The classic gun sounds are iconic to me, and all these new gun sounds just sound weird and honestly a little weak to me, though that's more of an aesthetic criticism, not a criticism of the gameplay, and since it won't actually impact how the game plays, it's something that I can overlook if the game itself is good. We'll see once the game comes out and we see it all in motion, but these are just some immediate concerns of mine based on what I've seen in the Halo Infinite test flights. But the multiplayer is only one small portion of Halo. The campaign is another big part, and we just got our first real campaign trailer. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm concerned. There are two sources of my concern with the Halo Infinite campaign: the actual story itself and the open world. Before I get into that, I do want to say some positives though. I am so happy that they brought back the classic Halo art direction. Even if some of the guns still look a little weird to me, at least Master Chief's armor is back. I honestly hate the armor design for Halo 4 and 5. Like, really hate it. So I'm glad to see the classic Spartan armor come back. The gunplay in combat also looks very good and refined. Guns look responsive and expressive. I've been a fan of the grapple hook since day one, and I still think that looks like a very fun and great addition to the sandbox. I like that it looks like there's a good deal of enemy variation as well. I like that it showed other Marines, so we have confirmation that we'll have sections with other Marines fighting alongside us. So first off, I have some concerns in terms of story. Halo is one of those few first-person shooters that not only had great gameplay, but an interesting and engaging story as well. You should know by now that I'm not a very story-focused type of gamer. I mostly view stories more like nice additions to push forward gameplay, but I do really enjoy Halo's story, at least in the classic Halo games. Infinite is following Halo 5. Halo 5, in my opinion, not only has the weakest story of all the Halo games, but a bad story in general. It didn't make any sense. I played through it earlier this year, and I can honestly barely tell you what it was about. I don't read the books, so I had absolutely no idea who these new characters were, or why they were hunting Master Chief, or why Cortana was evil now, or any of that. The campaign for Halo 5 was bad. Period. So Infinite really has to turn it around. From this trailer, I'm still a little confused as to what is going on. Why is Chief in space? Why does it look like humanity is some ragtag resistance freedom fighter force instead of an established military? When does this game take place? I really hope this isn't another case where we need to read the books to understand what the fuck is going on. The obsession with AIs is also starting to get weird to me. Like, the trailer opens up with this.
Since the beginning, Halo was about Master Chief and Cortana.
Making it seem like Cortana and Chief's relationship in the other Halos was much more important than it actually was. Like, she's never really the focus of the stories until Halo 4 came around, and it was weird in Halo 4 and 5. Halo 1 was about the war with the Covenant and the introduction of the Flood, with Cortana more so playing a navigator role. Halo 2 was really the Arbiter's story, with Cortana and Chief kind of taking a secondary role in that story. And with Halo 3, sure there was the subplot of finding Cortana, but there was a lot more going on in that game, with the majority of the story focusing on the uneasy alliance between the UNSC and elites, and their fight against the Brutes in the Flood. And while I'm interested in figuring out Cortana's fate from Halo 5, I still feel like 343 has this weird obsession with her and AIs in general. Another major story thread missing from what I've seen are the Prometheans. There have been absolutely no showing of the Prometheans. I know they weren't exactly popular, but it's weird that they just got rid of them for no reason. They were a big part of the universe 343 setup with Halo 4 and 5, so to just not include them would be a weird decision. So hopefully we'll see more of what happens with them. Again, above all, I hope the story is self-contained within the game. I don't want to be lost again because I haven't read the books or haven't played Halo Wars yet. I know 343 isn't going to show everything in one trailer, and that we're going to have to play the game to see what unfolds, that there are going to be things that we're going to have to play the game to figure out. But for now, these are just things that I'm thinking about. My biggest concerns, however, after seeing this trailer, come from the open world aspect. I said when Halo Infinite was first revealed that I did not think an open world would work very well, and I still stand by that. We've seen open world first-person shooters before. I will agree that open worlds work with something like Borderlands, though that's because it's a first-person RPG, with leveling, abilities, and loot, making the open world much more of a necessity for pushing gameplay. Halo is not an RPG. There is no leveling. You don't get new weapons to keep. There aren't shops to sell weapons at. So now we look at a more straightforward open-world FPS like Rage 2, which had great gunplay and combat, but was way too large and empty, with side quests that detracted from the main story. I see this happening with Halo. Just by design, Open world games have the tendency to detract from the main story. I have never played an open world game that didn't. By design, they put the main story on the back burner to go do side objectives that don't matter as much. By design, an open world will hurt Halo's main story focus. Again, a series known for its story and for being a story-focused FPS campaign experience. There's no way around it. Open world design puts the pressure off the main story as you dick around doing something else, doing something less important, or padding the game out with mindless travel and downtime. They tend to create pacing issues for simplicity's sake. And again, Halo isn't an RPG. You aren't leveling up abilities. You don't get new guns that you keep through the whole game. You don't get new armor. In Halo, you are constantly switching to new guns you find in arenas, running out of ammo, switching to better guns based on the situation in front of you. You only get 2 guns at a time, so why would they give you an epic gun for you to use once and then discard once you run out of ammo? It isn't cohesive with Halo's established gameplay loop, and if you aren't getting tangible rewards like epic guns for completing side quests, then what incentive is there to do so? Not only that, but if they do change Halo to be more like an RPG, then is that really a Halo experience? We can see in this trailer that there is some sort of minor upgrade system. It looks like you can upgrade equipables and what looks like this game's equivalent of Spartan abilities. I'm assuming these are awarded based on these side objectives, but is that really preferable to just having a fully upgraded Master Chief and playing through well-designed levels? Even if there were to be upgrades to Master Chief, I'd rather them be tied to challenges within a level similar to something like in Doom Eternal, as opposed to off-the-path outposts that you have to take over. I just worry a side quest based open world experience will detract from the focused story and well-crafted levels that Halo is known for. How much of this game is going to be traveling from outpost to outpost, killing small groups of Covenant, and how is that going to push the focused narrative forward? And I know Halo has had bigger open levels in the past, like the Silent Cartographer, but that's still a linear level with a single objective. It just gives the player a bit of freedom as to how to approach the objective. It's a sandbox versus a sprawling open world with multiple side objectives distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing. Another thing that worries me are these drop areas where you can summon in vehicles and weapons on a whim. Not only does this look detrimental to the overall sandbox Halo is known for, as you don't need to search for weapons and vehicles deliberately placed in a level, but also looks like a balancing nightmare. What's to stop you from just maxing out on RPGs and power weapons and taking an OP weapon over to any area in this open world and just wrecking everything? Just take a Hornet, blast everything away from the sky, drop down for your quest EP, and fly away. And I can't help to think that this was just included to help with the downtime of traveling an open world. Something that could have been avoided if Halo Infinite had just stuck to well-designed levels with deliberate vehicle placement. Additionally, open world games typically take a long time to play due to the need to fill the game with side quests to justify making it an open world. Halo games are typically finishable in 10 to 15 hours, and are meant to be played numerous times, on Legendary, with friends, etc. If Infinite is much longer due to the open world design, how will that affect the replayability of it? How many people are going to want to commit a larger chunk of that time to beat it on Legendary, or beat it with a friend, especially considering that co-op isn't being released at launch? Are players really going to want to start over without upgrades, especially considering there's an entire multiplayer mode to play and eat up your time? I just can't think of anything that an open world would provide to the Halo experience that well-designed, focused levels wouldn't better provide. Now, there's a chance this game isn't fully open world, that maybe only sections are open world or a handful of levels have an open world style to them, and if that's the case, it could be implemented decently. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. Maybe there's an open world hub connecting actual individual levels. I don't know, there's still a lot to see. Again, it's just something that I'm concerned about after seeing this first trailer. Hopefully, once the game comes out, my concerns will be proven wrong, and we get the best Halo campaign experience since Halo 3. I'm still hoping Halo Infinite is good. I'm expecting at least the multiplayer portion to be better than Halo 4 and 5. I just really wish they didn't go the open world route, and I'm really hopeful that the story they tell is good. We'll see in a couple months when Halo Infinite is released.
Exploring this vast and fractured world will put Spartan